wherein AKS IAS Academy is one of the premier institutions in India, and it offers coaching for exams like UPSC, State Public Service Commission, SSC, combined graduate level exams, and CLAT examinations. So do visit AKS IAS Academy and also the website of AKS IAS Academy, which is one of the premier institutions in India. About me, I am Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, and my credentials are: I have 10 years of teaching experience for civil services. I teach international relations and internal security and analysis of the Hindu newspaper. And in regards to this session, that is the daily news analysis, this session will definitely help you to crack prelims and mains examinations, because the daily news analysis from me, that is AKS IAS Academy, will definitely help you, because I would be emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases from the newspaper, that is from the news item. And once we are into the mode of emphasizing the keywords and the key phrases, definitely we will identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be very useful for the preliminary examination. So thereby, by emphasizing the keywords and the key phrases, we will get to identify the factual, analytical and conceptual questions which will be useful for the prelims examinations. And in regards to the mains examinations, when you are into the mode of imbibing the keywords and the key phrases in the mains point of view, that is in regards to the answer writing. So definitely when you are writing the answers for the mains examinations, you need to get into the mode of inculcating the keywords and the key phrases in your answer writing, that is for the mains examinations, because your answers would be precise and concise. So definitely I can assure you that when you are imbibing the keywords and the key phrases, your answers would be precise and concise. And that is what the precise and concise of the answers are being demanded by the UPSC from the civil servant aspirants, so that you can score higher marks in the mains examination. So definitely my session, that is daily news analysis, will help you to crack or score higher marks in the prelims and mains, both for the year 2020 and also for the year 2021, because the calendar year for 2021 is also been released by the UPSC. Even for the prelims 2021, it is in the month of June. So do take the advantage of the daily news analysis by the AKS IAS Academy, that is by me, Sandeep Bhushan Tumala, the faculty. So the daily news analysis here, that is we will take up the DNA of today, that is the Hindu newspaper of 18, that is today's Hindu newspaper. And here I would be re-emphasizing and reiterating my tagline, that is emphasizing on the keywords and the key phrases. So when I am again making sure that the keywords and the key phrases are very important and key for your success for scoring higher marks in the prelims and mains examinations, this will definitely help you to crack prelims and mains. And also, as I say, that you will be definitely comfortable in the interview, or else even in the personality development test. So do not miss the daily news analysis of AKS IAS Academy. And before I get into the topic, I would say a very good morning to you all. And I would say good morning to all in the live and in the live chat. Good morning, Rahul, Praveen, D. Suvarna, Madhu, Narendra, K. Narendra, Nandita Tepa, Rakesh, Gopinayak, Shankar B, Madhu, Giribabu, Sivamurthy. All of you, very good morning and welcome to Daily News Analysis at AKS IAS Academy YouTube channel. And quote of the day is, you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. So what is important is here that you need to make sure that you will never change, or you can change your life. You can change your life when you do something daily. That means your life is equal to daily. That means you can change your life only when you do something daily. That is which is productive. So definitely make sure that you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success, the secret of your success is found in your daily routine. So your daily routine is your success. Your daily routine is equal to your success. So what you have the daily routine, if it is definitely in regards to achieving your goal, definitely you will lead to success, and that is what your success will depend upon your daily routine, and that is very very important. So the quote of the day is, you will never change your life until you change yourself, or you change something you do daily. The secret of success is found in your daily routine. So make sure that your daily routine has definitely something in place which will be added to your success. And before I get Sai Krishna, Azmat Khan, very warm welcome to AKA Science Academy Daily News Analysis. And now I'll get into the topic, that is the daily news analysis. And the news that we would focus today is that the first one, the Supreme Court to study context of charges. So we will look at the keyword. What we would be focusing here is the context of charges. So on what context the charges are being designed or framed by the Supreme Court against the judges. That is what the Supreme Court will focus on. So the keyword here is, we will be focusing is what the Supreme Court is saying, that it would study the context of charges against the judges. So the Supreme Court of India Supreme Court of India yesterday has decided that it will go ahead with a detailed examination. It will go ahead with a detailed examination into the circumstances under which a person can make public allegation of corruption against the judiciary. So definitely we have seen that the contempt of court. The another keyword is contempt of court is the another keyword, wherein this is in news for almost 1 week or so. So definitely when a person is making a public allegation of corruption against the judiciary, so the Supreme Court of India will look into a detailed examination. It will look into a detailed examination on what? It will look into the detailed examinations on what? It will look into whether an individual who is making a public allegation, of corruption against the judiciary. So here the corruption allegation in regards to an individual making an allegation of corruption against judiciary. So here definitely there is a detailed examination being done by the Supreme Court, whether an individual or a person can make public allegation of corruption against the judiciary. That is what it will focus. So it has decided to launch a detailed examination. This is important. A detailed examination by Supreme Court of India will look into the context of charges, that is whether an individual who is making a public allegation of corruption against judiciary, that will be focusing. And the Supreme Court which is looking into this case is a 3-judge bench. It is a 3-judge bench and it is led by Justice Arun Mishra, has also decided to hear arguments on laying down procedures. So it is in regards to the laying down of procedures. So this is very important keyword. So the Supreme Court will look at the detailed examinations on the context of charging, and also on the laying down procedure. On what? Laying down a procedure for what? That is whether an individual can make a statement in a public, whether this is what, whether an individual can make a statement in public, in regards to a sitting judge or a retired judge. Corruption made in public against a sitting judge or a retired judge. So definitely the Supreme Court will be looking at the context of charges, and it will be focusing on the detailed examination, as I said. And the other one is, it will also focus on, or it will look at whether, or it will decide to hear the arguments on laying down procedures. So it will come up with the procedures on what, whether an individual can make a statement against the judiciary in regards to the corruption, that is in public, in regards to the sitting judge or a retired judge. So this will be taken up tomorrow, that is August 20, day after, it will be taken up in the Supreme Court, and that is what is being decided. So detailed examinations on the context of charging, and then laying down procedures, whether an individual can make a statement of corruption against the judiciary in public in regards to the sitting or a retired judge. And the bench also has framed 2 questions in regards to the contempt of court. So definitely there is a contempt of court which has been taken up, and the Supreme Court has found guilty Prashant Bhushan as guilty in regards to the contempt of court for his remarks. What was his remarks? That his remarks was in regards to the what he has made in regards to the corruption in judiciary. He has made corruption in judiciary. He has made remarks in regards to the corruption in judiciary while he was going ahead with an interview in regards to the Tehelka magazine. So he has given an interview to the Tehelka magazine in the year 2009. Please do understand, Prashant Bhushan has given an interview to the Tehelka magazine. It is a magazine called as Tehelka. In the year 2009, he has given an interview. In that interview, he has made the remarks against the corruption. He has made the remarks of corruptions in judiciary. And not only that, he has made a statement in regards to the now the Chief Justice of India, S.A. Bobde. So he has tweeted. So now the question is the tweets and remarks. Please do understand, this is the essence. So he has tweeted against the Chief Justice of India, S.A. Bobde, and then he has made remarks on the corruption in the entire judiciary system itself, So the tweets against the CJI and the remarks against the corruption in the judiciary, which he has given an interview to the Tehelka magazine in the year 2009, that will be looked at very keenly. And now the Supreme Court also will look at that in what circumstances, please do understand these keywords, on what circumstances can such an individual make a statement in regards to corruption against the judiciary. Please do understand, in what circumstances it will decide. Context of charges, that is what I am saying, context. In what context the charges can be framed against an individual who is making a statement public in regards to the corruption in judiciary. In what circumstances, and what circumstances these allegations need to be made public, and what circumstances the individual is making an allegations in public is the question mark, which will be looked into, or it will hear the arguments in regards to these 2 issues. In regards to these 2 issues, the Supreme Court of India will hear the arguments in regards to the one who is heading the 3-judge bench is Justice Mishra, and the bench has also referred. Now the bench, that is I am talking about the 3-judge bench, which is led by Justice Mishra, has given or has concluded a judgment that Prashant Bhushan is found guilty in regards to making his remarks in the interview in the Tehelka magazine in the year 2009 that there is corruption in the judiciary, and the second one is that he has tweeted against or tweeted against the Chief Justice of India, now the Chief Justice of India, S.A. Bobde. So the tweets and remarks are the one which has been taken up by the three-judge bench, finding Prashant Bhushan as guilty, and this bench has referred to the judgment. That is, which judgment it is? It is majority judgment. Please do understand these keywords or the judgment. So the three-judge bench now, which has given a judgment or found guilty, the Prashant Bhushan is found guilty, as referred back to a judgment that is called as majority judgment, which has been given in the year 1992, and this majority judgment has made it very clear that for the removal of, this is again very important for prelims point of view, removal of Justice V. Ramaswamy. This is important. Justice V. Ramaswamy, for his removal, he was former Supreme Court judge. Is he Supreme Court judge, former Supreme Court judge. So in the year 1992, a judgment was being pronounced by the Supreme Court by the Justice Verma or J.S. Verma. J.S. Verma has been the head of it, and he has delivered the justice, that is majority judgment under J.S. Verma against or for removal of Justice V. Ramaswamy. Please do understand, it is in regards to the removal of Justice V. Ramaswamy, and the majority judgment was delivered by Justice J.S. Verma. Very important. Two persons, Justice J.S. Verma has delivered the judgment in regards to the removal of Justice V. Ramaswamy. So now the Supreme Court is making a referral to the judgment given by the Supreme Court in the year 1992. In the year 1992, that judgment is called as majority judgment, and that judgment has laid the procedures. The judgment, that is the majority judgment, has laid down the procedure in regards to dealing with allegation against the sitting judge. That is what I said. It could be in regards to the retired judges or sitting judges. So it was very clearly mentioned in the 1992 judgment that the judgment, that is majority judgment, has laid down the procedures in regards to the allegations which are being made by the or by any individual against the sitting judge, and the judge had to be given a fair opportunity. So here there is also a point which has been mentioned in the part of the judgment, that the judge had to be given a fair opportunity to be heard before the inquiry committee formed under the Judges Inquiry Act. So the 1992 majority judgment, which was delivered by Justice J.S. Verma, has made it very clear that it has laid down procedures, and it is also giving the judge an opportunity. It is giving a judge an opportunity for what? Opportunity to be heard before the inquiry committee. So definitely there is an inquiry committee which will inquire in regards to the what kind of statements were being made by the individual against the sitting judge or the retired judge, and that inquiry committee will be listening or giving an opportunity for the judge who has been made a statement, and this is as per what? Judges Inquiry Act. This is again very important for prelims, and also that you can make a mention in the mains answer. So as per the Judges Inquiry Act 1968, the inquiry committee shall give a fair opportunity for the judge so that he can make, or he or she can make a statement, that he can prove that he is not guilty of making the statement. And this has also made it very clear that it has the inquiry process. So entire inquiry process by the inquiry committee in this majority judgment was made limited. Process was made limited, and it was this process, when we are talking about, it was a tight process, and it was a limited process. Please do understand. It was a tight process and a limited process, which will just have what? Judicial functionaries. Which will just have judicial functionaries and the parliamentarians is required. Fine. And it will keep out all other busy bodies to meddle or to interfere into the judgment or into the inquiry process. So what is important is inquiry committee and then Judges Inquiry Act 1968. Inquiry process is limited to tight and limited, wherein you will have only judicial functionaries and parliamentarian. And if you look at the judgment, that is the majority judgment of 1992, it tries to preserve. It tries to preserve. What does it tries to preserve? It tries to preserve the right, the interest, and the dignity of judges. So it is definitely the majority judgment of 1992 delivered by Justice J.S. Verma against the Judge V. Ramaswamy is very clear that it is trying to protect the right, the interest, and the dignity of the judges, which is commensurate in the sense which is equivalent to the dignity of any or all institutions and functionaries. So it is making it very clear that as the other institutions are having the right to preserve the right, interest, and dignity, the same way the dominating spirit of 1992 judgment is in regards to the preserving the right, interest, and dignity of the judges. So this news is very important in regards to making sure that how we are focused in regards to the 1992 judgment and inquiry committee and then Judges Inquiry Act, which is in regards to the 1968 inquiry process. What is it trying to preserve? The judgment, right, interest, and dignity of the judge, and removal of whom it is the Justice V. Ramaswamy, the Supreme Court judge. So now the Supreme Court will decide in launching a detailed examination against the public allegation of corruption against the judiciary. It could be the sitting or the retired judges. And before I get into the next topic, I would say a very good morning to Harika, Mahesh, Krishna, Madhav, Shravani, Malvika Sajivan. Very good morning to you all, and a warm welcome to AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis by Sandeep Bhushan Tumala. And there is another news which we will focus is in regards to the Indian and Nepalese diplomat discuss bilateral projects. So it is the keyword here is bilateral projects were being discussed between India and Nepal. And India and Nepal diplomats both together have discussed the bilateral projects between India and Nepal. So we are very well aware that Nepal has come up with a new political map wherein it has included the Kalapani, Limpi Yadura, Kalapani, and the Lipu Lake Pass. So we know that the Nepal government has, the parliament, both the houses have gone ahead with coming up with a new political map which has been passed in both the houses, that is adding Limpiadura, Kalapani and Lipu Lake Pass part of the territory of Nepal. So since then there is lot of dispute between India and Nepal and not much of bilateral trade talks or diplomacy or good relations, cordial relations is going on between India and Nepal. But we have seen Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has wished Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the Independence Day, and he said that we will go ahead with an bilateral issues or friendly discussions in regards to the bilateral issues will be discussed between both the countries, and because of that, both the countries diplomats have come together to discuss the bilateral projects. So what is important is, since almost close to 4 5 months or this year from the beginning, or to be frank enough, from November 2019, when the Survey of India have come up with a political map. India has come up with a new political map wherein it has added, India has added Kalapani as part of the Pitrogar district of Uttarakhand. So when it has Uttarakhand, so Kalapani was added, was shown as a district of Pitrogar district of Uttarakhand. That is by the Survey of India. That is by the government of India in the month of November 2019. They have shown, and since then Nepal is not happy with India because Kalapani is a disputed territory. Kalapani is a disputed territory between India and Nepal. As it is a disputed territory, Nepal is not happy the way the India has gone ahead with an unilateral decision in projecting or showing Kalapani as part of the Pitrogar district of Uttarakhand, that is India, as it is a disputed territory. So since then itself, that is November 2019 onwards, Nepal is not happy with India, and definitely the coordination or the relations between India and Nepal have come to a very standing, or it has come to a low level. But we have seen, because of Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has wished Indian Prime Minister on the occasion of the India's independence, 74th India's independence. Thereby, there is a positive note from both the sides, that is India's and Nepalese diplomats have gone ahead with reviving the status of the bilateral projects between both the countries. And this is the 8th meeting between both the diplomats. It is the eighth meeting between the diplomats of India and Nepal. So what kind of meeting it is? It is Nepal India oversight mechanism. This is again very important for mains point of view and also prelims. So it is 8th meeting of Nepal India oversight mechanism. Please do understand this keyword. The meeting what has taken place between both the diplomats in regards to reviving the status of a number of ongoing bilateral projects. Again, this is a keyword. The bilateral projects between India and Nepal is based on the meeting taken up or the talks taken up at the meeting, that is Nepal India oversight mechanism. And definitely they have gone ahead with talking about the bridges, or we will look at what was discussed between both the countries or both the diplomats in regards to reviving the bilateral project. So it is in regards to the cross-border railways, and it is in regards to Arun 3 hydro projects, that is electricity, Pancheshwar multi-purpose project, which is on Mahakali River, construction of Nepal Police Academy, and post-earthquake construction. 2015 we have seen the earthquake which has triggered very massive in Nepal, and it has gone ahead with lot of destruction. So India was the first country in the world to come up with having an helping hand to Nepal, even financially also. So 2015, and now in regards to post earthquake construction, also in regards to the irrigation, power transmission lines, and also the check post, which is now very important because the way we have the Kalapani as the disputed territory, which is a long-lasting pending disputed territory between India and Nepal, and also in regards to the agriculture and cultural heritage between both the countries have also been discussed, and Ramayana project was also discussed. So definitely we know that Ram and Sita, Lord Rama and Sita, Ayodhya, Janakpur, UP, India, and then Nepal. So there is a relation between India and Nepal. That is why Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has said that the birth of Rama is not in India but in Nepal. That is why the Ram temple, that is why the Ram temple has to be built not in Ayodhya but in Nepal. Why? Because Sita is from Janakpur. That then on this pretext, the Indian Nepal Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli also has said that Ram is also from Nepal. So Ram is not from India. So that was also a statement made. And Ramayana projects are between what you say, this is in regards to the linkages or bus facility. Why? Because of Rama and Sita from Ayodhya and Janakpur. So this is how we need to focus in regards to the prelims point of view. The bilateral projects, Nepal-India oversight mechanism, and the projects which have been revived. All the projects, please do take it into consideration. And before I get into the next slide, Bajaria, Ranjit Kumar, Suresh Raman have joined. A warm welcome to you all. Good morning and warm welcome to you all to AKS IAS Academy Daily News Analysis. And there is another news which talks about DSE funds two companies for new COVID-19 diagnostics. So, Department of Science and Technology, DST, Department of Science and Technology is in news. Why? Why is it in news? Why is it in news? Because it in the sense Department of Science and Technology has funded two companies. Why it has funded two companies? So that they will develop. It has funded two companies. Why? Because these two companies will develop what? Antibody kits. Will develop antibody kits. Please do understand. This is very important. The two companies which the Department of Science and Technology has funded is those two companies will develop antibody kits. Please do understand, antibody kits. And which are the two companies? The two companies are Fast Sense Diagnostics, and the other one is Module Innovation, MI, Module Innovation. So the two companies were in the department. Please do understand, this is very important because department itself has gone ahead with the funding. When the funding is done by the department itself, so it is an important news which can be considered prospective for the prelims point of view. Prospective for the prelims point of view. So the Department of Science and Technology has funded two companies which will get into the mode of developing the antibody kits, and the two companies are Fast Sense Diagnostics and Module Innovation, MI. And these two will go ahead with developing an antibody kits as which will be a quicker version. It will be a latest version, quicker version of what? Of the rapid. So we have this RT-PCR test, and you also now have the rapid RT-PCR. RT-PCR is reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, wherein this is a diagnostic test or kits which will make sure that whether an individual is been infected by the SARS-CoV-2 or is tested positive for the COVID-19 disease. So this now the antibody kits which will be developed by the two companies will be a quicker version of rapid RT-PCR. This is very important for prelims point of view. So the new antibody kits will be a quicker version, latest version of rapid RT-PCR. And MI is a Pune-based healthcare. It is a Pune-based company. Pune-based company in the sense Pune-based health company, or it is a healthcare startup. Why I am also mentioning this about MI is because it is a startup. Look at it, the startup which is being financially supported by the government. Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme, self-reliant. Why we are discussing, or why you need to focus this as a startup company? So as a startup company, the government of India through the Department of Science and Technology, it is financially supporting the Module Innovation, which is a Pune-based healthcare startup company. And why? Again, we need to link it in regards to the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme, self-reliance. And this will come up with a point of care diagnostic kit. And this kit will come up with an, or it can detect the virus, in just 10 to 15 minutes. In just 10 to 15 minutes, it can detect the virus. So this diagnostic kits, that is the antibody diagnostic kits, will be detecting the virus in the infected person within 10 to 15 minutes of the sample which has been taken up. And this is a company which has actually or already gone ahead with a product called as USense. Please do understand, this is not the kit of the SARS-CoV-2. It is the product which the company has already been in the process of developing the product. It is called as USense, and USense is used for, it is a diagnostic kit. It is a diagnostic kit which is used for detecting urinary tract infection. Urinary tract infection. Please do understand the difference. The company has come up with a diagnostic test called as, earlier itself called as USense, and that is used as a diagnostic kits to detect the urinary tract infection. And even here, this infection will be detected within 15 minutes. Fine. So they have the experience. The MI based company, that is healthcare startup, has the experience in going ahead with the point of care diagnostic test kit, earlier itself called as USense. USense, that is urinary tract infection. Please do understand this. And now we will look at what is the product or the diagnostic kit which will be used for the detecting the antibodies in regards to SARS-CoV-2, and that is called as NCoV-Sense. Novel coronavirus sense. Earlier we have seen USense, that is urinary tract infection, which will be detected within 15 minutes. And this startup Module Innovation will develop what? This is again very important for prelims point of view. Will develop what or which diagnostic kits which will detect the antibodies. It is NCoV-Sense, N novel coronavirus sense, which will detect the antibodies generated against the COVID-19. So here it will not, this will detect what? Please do understand. Conceptual. It will detect what? It will detect the antibodies. It will detect the antibodies in the infected individual. Because whenever the individual is infected, immediately the human body releases the antibodies to fight against the antigen. To fight against antigens. So what are antigens here in this case? It is the virus. Which virus is that? SARS-CoV-2 virus. So it will detect the NCoV-Sense will detect the antibodies which have been generated in the human body. And the other news on in regards to the companies, there are several companies which will have come up with the authorized marketing, which can market the indigenous or the foreign RT-PCR test. But in regards to the selling of the antigen test, there are few companies which are given the permission to sell, that is SD Biosensor, and then Vishal Diagnostics, and then MyLab Discovery Solutions. So it is the marketing in regards to indigenous or foreign kits which have been approved by the United States FND, which have been approved by the US FAD, have been only three companies have been given in regards to the selling, that is SD Biosensor, Vishal Diagnostic, and MyLab Discovery Solution. And this rapid PCR test is used as an alternative technology. It is used as an alternative technology called as, this is again important for prelims point of view. Which are we talking about? We are talking about this rapid PCR, or else which will go ahead with the quicker version of the rapid PCR test, and that is called as the alternative technology for rapid PCR test, using an alternative technology called as, and that alternative technology is called as RT-LAMP. Please do understand, this is a technology used. This is a technology used in the RT-PCR new test. RT-PCR new test, which is a which among the following technologies are being used in the rapid PCR diagnostic kits, which has been funded by the Department of Science and Technology, is RT-LAMP. Please do understand this for the prelims point of view. Which among the following technology is being used for the rapid PCR test, which is being funded by the Department of Science and Technology? The answer is RT-LAMP. And this, which will definitely speed up the testing, which has been developed by Sri Chitra Tirunal Institute of Medical Sciences and Technology. So SCTI MIST has gone ahead with developing what? The rapid PCR test using the alternate technology. So we have seen various keywords which are very, very important for prelims as well as mains point of view. So there is another news which talks about withdraw FIR against protesters. So we have seen there was a protest by 10 central trade unions. 10 central trade unions. So when they have gone ahead with the protest, they have been booked, or there was FIR which was filed against these 10 central trade union workers. And why they have protested is, why it is in news. That means they have protested in regards to the, or against the government's labor policies. So all these 10 central trade unions have protested against the government labor policies. Please do understand here. Again, why we need to focus is the labor policies. So because of the national lockdown, the workers have moved to their respective villages. The shortage of workers, that is in regards to the labor crisis, we have experienced this. The country has experienced this labor crisis. So once this labor crisis has evolved, across the country, what has been taken up by various states is they have gone ahead with the reforms in labor, or labor reforms, and these labor reforms have been taken up by what? By labor policies. Please do understand, I am giving the background. So there were labor policies which have been taken up by various state governments to overcome the labor crisis because of the national lockdown, as the laborers have moved back to their respective villages. And those labor policies are definitely against the labor, against the labor rights. Against the labor rights. This is very important. Again, here keyword is labor rights, labor policies, labor reforms, labor crisis. So, labor crisis, labor reforms, labor policies, labor rights. Crisis, reforms, policies, rights, all about labor. That is why you need to focus on this for prelims point of view. And when the government has gone ahead or they have come up with the labor reform, labor policies which are against the labor, so they all the 10 central trade unions have gone ahead with the protest, and when they have gone ahead with the protest, they have been filed, or first information reports were filed against the workers who were part of the protest. And what now the central trade unions are wanting is the FIR which is being filed against the workers, should be withdrawn. The FIR should be withdrawn, and they have written a letter to the Home Minister Amit Shah, and they say that they were protesting against the government policies, that is in regards to the labor policy. They were protesting in regards to the disinvestment process by the government, and they were protesting in regards to the privatization of public sector enterprises, public sector enterprises. So, in regards to the labor policies, in regards to the disinvestment policy, and then privatization of public sector enterprises, and these were the issues, genuine issues, which were taken up by the workers, and by the workers they have protested. When they have protested, so they were filed, all these workers, the police has filed the FIR. Because why they have filed the FIR? Now the point is because at the time of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we know that social gathering is not supposed to be taken. Fine. And wherein you have the guidelines in place, it is violation of those guidelines. And when the workers have violated the guidelines, they have been filed, or they have been booked, or the first information report is been filed against the workers, and thereby the 10 trade unions have written a letter to the central or union home minister Amit Shah, seeking the withdrawal of the FIRs of all the workers who have been part of the protest. And they say that it is muzzling, that is, it is trying to squeeze the democratic rights of the unions, wherein it represents that these unions are trying to represent the grievances. Grievances are problems of the workers. And who are these workers? The workers are the one who are wealth producers. Workers are the one who are wealth producers. They are the wealth producers. Please do understand. You can use this in your short notes for the mains. So, workers are the wealth producers. Workers are the service givers. So, when the wealth producers and the service givers have protested to represent their genuine concerns or the grievances as a democratic right, they were booked, and then FIR was filed against them. So the letter to the Home Minister, the 10, is that I've just taken it for the betterment or else for you in regards to the prelims point of view. The 10, these are the 10 central trade unions. The Indian National Trade Union, INTUC, AITUC, All India Trade Unions, and then Hind Mazdoor Sabha, the Center of India Trade Unions, All India United Trade Union Center, the Trade Union Coordination Committee, Self-Employed Women's Association, All India Central Council of Trade Unions, the Labour Progressive Federation, and the United Trade Union Congress. Why I'm saying is, it could be that there would be a question which among the following is not not part of the 10 central trade unions. So if at all in that option 1, 2, 3, 4 or A, B, C, D, if you find the Self-Employed Women's Association, you will think that this is not the central trade union and you will tick for this. But actually the Self-Employed Women's Association is part of this 10 central trade unions. That is why I have focused this for the, and this could be the prelims point of view. Which among the following is not part of the 10 central trade unions? Self-Employed Women's Association is part of it. How linking has to be done, please do understand. And then Ranjit Kumar, before I get into, good job, has joined. Very good morning to you. Ranjit Kumar says, can you please provide PDF format? Okay, you can visit AKSIS Academy. And Shravani says that, sir, are the rapid test what we are accessible now or MI based test? No. Okay. See, MI module innovation to develop antibody kits as well as quicker version. It's a new version. Rapid RT-PCR test. You have RT-PCR, you have rapid RT-PCR test, and now it is the quicker version of rapid RT-PCR. It is a quicker version. I think Shravani, you are getting it. Now they will develop the quicker version of rapid RT-PCR. MI will go ahead with the quicker version. And then Madhusudan have joined. A warm welcome to you to AKSIS Academy, Madhusudan. And the another news is power output increases for the first time in 5 months in August. So the keyword is electricity generation. Satish has also joined. Very good morning to you, Satish. And the keyword here is electricity generation. And this electricity generation is definitely linked to the economy. Because when there is more of usage of electricity, that means economic activities are definitely increasing. It is increasing. And electricity generation has increased for the first time in the first 15 or the 2 weeks, first 15 days of 2020, wherein we have seen right from March, because of the national lockdown, we have seen the economic activity has been totally damaged. Economic activity has been totally damaged right from March because of the national lockdown. But in the first 2 weeks, that is in the first 15 days of August 2020, we have seen the electricity generation increasing. It has rose in the sense it has increased. So the economic activity is definitely positive. And the power generation, now we are talking about the electricity or the power generation. Electricity or the power generation has increased to 2.6% in the first 15 days of August. And if you look at that, in the month of July, it has fallen down to 1.8%. In the month of August, it has increased to 2.6%. In the month of July, it has fallen down to 1.8%. So we are comparing the power of electricity generation, no doubt from the month of March, but again comparing it from the July month to the August month. So now definitely there is an increase in the power generation. And why this increase? And why there is increase in power generation? Because especially the northern states, there is demand from the northern states, and also from the industrialized states, from the northern states and from the industrialized states. There is a demand of electricity. Industrialized states, it is in regards to the Gujarat and Maharashtra. Gujarat and Maharashtra, we have seen the demand in regards to the power, and then the demand from the northern states. So definitely the industry, that is the industries and the offices, they account for greater than half of annual power usage. This is very important for your conceptual understanding in regards to the how the economic activity which is linked to the electricity generation. Please do understand, here the industry is linking, we are linking this industry to power generation or electricity generation, linking industry output or industry's growth to the power generation. So industries and offices account for more than half of the India's annual power use. So this is very important, that how or which are the areas wherein more of consumption of electricity do take place, that is industries and offices, and these both of them constitute to consumption of electricity which is more than half of the India's annual power use. And before I get into the next topic, Kunjarala has joined, Ramkumar Alwala has joined. A warm welcome to you both to AKSIS Academy Daily News Analysis. And as I said, in regards to the Gujarat and Maharashtra, as I said, they are industrial states, and along with that we have seen even Rajasthan. Rajasthan has saw almost 15.7% of growth in electricity usage. So Rajasthan, as it is the largest state by area, it has gone ahead with usage which is increased 15.7%. And the other states, which are Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, has also seen increase in electricity usage. Along with, so the northern states are important: Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra. Almost all the northern states, there is a uptick in demand. That is, there is an wanting or demand, the increase in the demand. And now what is important is, when we are talking about electricity generation, so we have the renewable energy generation. We have to focus on this also. Renewable energy generation has fell. It has decreased by almost a fifth. That is, when you look at July, it has fallen down. But if you look at again, it has rose in the month of August. So renewable energy generation, it has fallen down in the month of July, but it has increased, rose to what? 2.3% in August. And when we look at the solar powered electricity generation, so electricity is generated by renewable energy and then solar powered, and this rose by almost 19.3%. And when we look at the other one, that is wind power generation. So the wind power generation, it has fallen down, or it has fell down to over 10%. And if you look at the other one wherein electricity can be generated is coal. So if you look at coal, which is the primary source, this is the primary source of electricity in India, and this has rose by 4.2% in the first 2 weeks of August. Why it is important that you need to focus this way is that we are not just focusing on the electricity or power generation. When we are looking at the power generation, we are focusing on the renewable energy. That is totally, if you look at the solar power generation, fine. We are looking at the wind power generation and also now in regards to the coal. So these are the areas which are very, very important in regards to the conceptual understanding about the electricity. And why am I focusing so much? Why am I focusing so much on this news? Why am I focusing so much on electricity? Any guesses? Why am I focusing so much on the electricity? Any guesses? Purushottam has also joined. A warm welcome to you, Purushottam. Very good morning. Anyone can answer? Why am I focusing so much on the power output? Extremely sorry. Anyone? Why am I focusing on the power output? Okay, I will go ahead with that. Because what is important is that this is an additional information which I have taken, that I would be focusing on the core sectors, because these core sectors are very, very important for prelims point of view, because you will certainly have one question. You will certainly have one question from the core sectors, and the 8 core sectors we need to focus is that coal, crude oil, natural gas, petroleum refinery products, and then fertilizers, cement, steel, and electricity generation. I think now you have got it. Okay, production improve. Okay, Madhav says growth. Okay, Madhu says it also shows the increase in industrial output. Okay, very well said. And along with those, what Madhav and Madhu has said, along with that, it is part of electricity generation is among the core sectors. How many core sectors you have? 8 core sectors. And these 8 core sectors or the industries, they comprise of the entire index of industrial production. So you have something called as an index of what? Industrial production. So you have index of industrial production. So definitely you have an industrial production, and among that industrial production you have an index. And if you look at the index, the 8 industries constitutes or comprises of 40.27%. So that is why the core sectors are very, very important, which will be focused by the government of India also, that is by the finance minister also it focuses, because this is the area wherein we need to focus on. Yes, fertilizer also shows positive trends because of there is much of activity in the agriculture sector. So now, apart from fertilizers, now what is the positive one which is showing a trend is the electricity generation, and these 8 industries, they comprises of 40.27% of the entire index of industrial production. So industrial production index is this, and these 8 industries have a major impact on what? Economic activities. They have the major impact on the economic activities and industrial activities. These keywords, please do take it into consideration. So economic activities and the industrial activities are the one which have the major impact on the index of industrial production, which are part of the 8 core sectors, which is electricity generation. And this will not only have impact on the economic activity and the industrial activities, but also other industries also it will impact. So we have looked at coal, crude oil, natural gas, refinery or petroleum refinery products, steel, cement, fertilizers and electricity. So this is very important for mains and especially prelims. You will certainly have one question. So the question for the day is tweets or remarks. Tweets or remarks of conscientious means diligent or wishing to do one's duty well and thoroughly. So the one who is actually very diligent or very active, who wants to perform his or her or one's duty well and thoroughly. So tweets or remarks made by conscientious citizen certainly do not affect the dignity of the Indian judiciary. Please do understand. I think you are getting the point. Tweets or remarks by conscientious citizens certainly do not affect the dignity of the Indian judiciary. Comment. So definitely this is in regards to the judgment given by the Supreme Court saying that Prashant Bhushan, an advocate of Supreme Court, is found guilty of contempt of court in two ways. That is, first is in regards to his tweets in regards to the Chief Justice of India, S.A. Bobde, and in regards to the remarks he has made in an interview to the Tehelka magazine. So this Tehelka magazine, and he has given an interview and then he has spoken about corruption. He has made a statement in regards to corruption in judiciary. So based on this, now the Supreme Court verdict or making it that Prashant Bhushan is found guilty under contempt of court. So the question is, tweets or remarks by conscientious citizen certainly do not affect the dignity of the Indian judiciary. Why? Because I said that 1992 majority judgment is to make sure that right of the judges, and that is in regards to the protect or preserve the rights of the judges, and then in regards to the dignity of the judges. I said so that the 1992 judgment very clearly says that it wanted to preserve the rights and dignity of the judges who are sitting or retired judges. Now it will focus on retired also. So it will have a detailed discussion. So in regards to that, the question is that whether it will affect the dignity of the Indian judiciary. Comment on it. So it is based on the contempt of court. And then to recapitulate what we have looked at is in regards to this polity, the Supreme Court judges, we have looked at how the cases the Supreme Court will go ahead with in regards to contempt of court, and then again this is in regards to the bilateral relations between India and Nepal, current affairs, and then DST, this is again in regards to the government funding, that is by Department of Space and Technology. Why? Because it is part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme. And then again in regards to, we have looked at the 10 central trade unions, and then we are focused on labor rights, labor policies, labor reforms, labor crisis. And this again here the focus was in regards to the core sectors, especially in regards to the electricity generation. So why again this? In regards to the economy point of view, prelims very effectively. So definitely, I hope my session was informative, knowledgeable, and will certainly be helping you both for prelims and mains examination to score higher marks in prelims and mains examination also. So I would thank you and I would say a good luck to you all. And then before you log off, please do like the AKSIS Academy Daily News Analysis, share the video, subscribe the video that is of advanced knowledge system, that is AKSIS Academy. You can also visit aks.com, that is aksis.com website, and also you can subscribe to the Telegram link, that is t.me/aks.ias, and see you tomorrow again at 7:30 a.m. in regards to the daily news analysis. And then I would again repeat the same thing. Please do maintain the consistency. Do fix to your schedule, stick to your schedule, and then take care of your physical health and mental health. And I would say a very big thank you to all in the live chat and also in the live. Thank you all and all the best for your exam. See you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.